Okay, so we are going to be doing completing the square to put into Vertex form, which we already have done. So this is the second day. But today what we're going to be doing is learning a different method and then also looking at when a is not equal 1. So when I'm talking about a, I'm talking about we have our ax squared plus bx plus c. And whenever we complete the square, we want a to equal 1. And so if it's not 1, there's some additional steps that we have to take. But before we do that, we're going to just review what we did on Friday. So what we're going to do is first write this equal to 0 just to kind of make things easier. So x squared plus 8x plus 10 equals 0. The next step is to move over that c value or constant to the other side. So we would get x squared plus 8x, and I'm going to make a new c value, and I'm moving over my constant. Now it will become negative 10, and then plus blank, because whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. From there, you create your box, and remember you put the first term in the first box. You take your middle term, 8x, you divide it in half, so you get 4x and 4x, and from there you come up with the edges. So this would be x, 4, and 4, and then the last box would be 4 times 4, which is 16, and you put that in the blank space. Okay, so from there you're going to factor the x squared plus 8x plus 16, which we already did. So you take these, which would get x plus 4 squared equals 16. Actually, that's not 16. X plus 4 squared equals 6. And then you're going to move it over. So you'd get x plus 4 squared minus 6. And then you would go ahead and put a y equals. So now it is in vertex form. So then from there, we would be able to find the vertex, and the vertex would be -4, -6. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at a different method. So you definitely have the option of choosing which method you want. It's just like when we multiply, we can use the box, we can use FOIL, we can use distributive property, same thing here. But it would be helpful for you guys to know both methods to know which one you will like better. So the first step is the same. So we're going to do x squared plus 8x plus 10 equals 0. So the first step is the same, and you notice we're actually doing the exact same example just so you could see how it's different. Then from there, we're going to move over that 10 and make a new space. So this becomes -10 plus blank. All right, so instead of doing the box, we're going to just do kind of a shortcut method. So what we're doing when we make the box and how we're getting this magic number right here is we're actually just taking that b value, which is 8, and I say b value, I'm referring to that middle term. We divide it in half, and then we square it. So what we're going to do is you take your b value, or middle number, divide it in half, and so that will give us 4. And I'm going to circle this number because it will be helpful later on, and then you square it and you get 16. So again, you take your b value, divide by 2, and square it. Okay, so we get 16, so we place that there, we place that here. The only downside to this method is you have to factor, but if you circled that number, you actually just take x, and then you're going to add 4 squared. So you do x plus whatever number that is squared equals, and then we know that -10 plus 16 is just 6. And then so you move everything over, x plus 4 squared minus 6, and then go ahead and put a y equals in front of it. And that's what it would be. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. So again, the first time we see it, it's always a little bit more confusing, but hopefully this next time it'll get a little bit better. Okay, so we are going to have x squared plus 6x minus 1 equals 0. That's step one. Next step is to create a new c value, move over the -1. So if we move it over to the other side, we have to add it, so it becomes positive. All right, to get that blank, you take your middle term, you divide by 2, which would give us 3. I'm going to go ahead and circle that number. Then you square it, and you get 9. So that goes there and there. Now I'm going to take that 3, and that's going to be my factor. So it's going to be x plus 3 squared equals, and then whatever 1 plus 9 is, which is 10. All right, so from there we have y equals x plus 3 squared, and then I'm going to subtract over that 10, and so I get minus 10. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to look at this problem where a is not equal to 1. So remember we said earlier a has to be 1. So there's two differences. The first thing that you have to do is just divide by whatever number will make that first number 1. So in this case it's -1. So to make it 1, you just take the entire thing and you divide by -1. So we're essentially factoring out a -1. So if we do that, we get y equals, and then we have x squared plus 14x minus 5. All right, then the same thing, x squared plus 14x minus 5 equals 0. Then we're going to do x squared plus 14x plus blank equals 5 plus blank. To get that blank, you do the middle term, 14, divide by 2. We get 7. I'm going to circle that, and then square it. So we get 49 and 49. All right, so you take this 7. This is going to become x plus 7 squared, and then you add 5 plus 49 together, which is equal to 54. So same thing as before, you would do x plus 7 squared minus 54. So the only thing we have to do is that a value can't just go away, so we have to put it back in. So that a value is technically a -1. So since we divided by it, now we have to multiply by it. So this would become y equals -1. So you're going to multiply that by the parentheses, and then you also want to multiply the -1 by the 54, the -54. So you get positive 54. Okay. Last example here. So again, a is not equal to 1. So when it's not equal to 1, you have to make it equal to 1. So in order to do that on this one, we would just divide by 2. So then we would get x squared plus 10x minus 3. So now we have x squared plus 10x minus 3 equals 0. From there, you move that c value over, so you get x squared plus 10x plus blank. If we add -3 to the other side, it becomes positive 3 plus blank. Then we take our middle term, which is 10. We divide by 2. We get 5. I'm going to circle that. And then you square it, which is 25. So that goes in the blank here and here. Then remember, you take that factor. So we get x plus 5 squared equals, and then 3 plus 25 is 28. Then you move it over. So we get x plus 5 squared minus 28. And the last step is to multiply by 2 since you divided by 2. So y equals 2 times x plus 5 squared. And then if you also have to multiply that negative 28 by 2, so you get negative 56. Okay, so remember, you do not have to do this b divided by 2 squared. You can still do the box, but a has to be 1. So if you were to do the box, it would be the exact same thing where you just divide by that number first, and then everything would be the same. Okay, that is it.